Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. The Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts is proudly sponsored by the Global Wellness HQ community. It's an online membership group where we meet, we share ideas, we share insights, and we all work together and help one another discover our own personal wellness journeys. If you'd like to join us, you can easily click the link below or scan the QR code. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Clientology podcast. I'm really excited today. We have Stephanie Paul on the show. Stephanie, why don't you start by just introducing yourself a little bit?
How much time have we got?
All the time you need.
I am a leadership coach. I also have a life coach certification, and I have 5 certifications in different behavior and psychology assessments. But essentially, I'm a leadership coach and trainer who specializes in communication and storytelling. So that's sort of what I do. My background is the entertainment industry, though. Before I started my coaching and training business, I spent 20 years in 8 different countries around the world working in film and television. And I've directed and produced and written and all those good things, because if I wasn't on stage or on camera, I believed being backstage and understanding the industry more. So I've got a very holistic understanding because I've done everything but sound, including being an agent for 2 years. And then I went through a divorce and I wanted out of a superficial marriage and a superficial industry, and I wanted to take my skill set and do something else with it. And I was teaching an acting class in a small town near the beach, and one of my students was a professor at Chapman University in California, and he said to me, you should take this into the corporate world. And I went, what is that? Don't be ridiculous. So I was like, I don't know anything about the corporate world, but there was an article written about me in the local newspaper because I play the president of the United States in 2 sci-fi cult comedies, and they thought that was cool. And then I got my first 2 clients, and so that was the seed, and the branches grew from there. So, and then I sort of trained myself in various things and hunkered down, and here I am.
I love it. And my audience will know you from your book, Unlock the Magic of Story, which is how you and I first connected. So I just want to make sure everybody's read that, or if they haven't, they should go back and read it. I'll put that in the show notes. Now, you
And
talked a little bit about working in the corporate world. So would you tell me who you serve and why do you do what you do? I think you gave us a little teaser, but
yeah, I'm really passionate about just inspiring and empowering my clients with new skills, knowledge, and leadership. So I'm not somebody that goes in, I work with individuals as well as corporate companies as well. I have a lot of biotech companies that I help raise money. So I help them build their story and their engagement and their presence around their data and their facts when they're raising money for Series D or C or something like that. Through that sort of work, I've ended up being asked to come in and train executive teams or management teams in communication, and develop around the assessments that, the psychology and the behavioral assessments that I have. And then from that, I've had spin-off with women in leadership clients because I'm a certified leadership coach, and having great success with some women in leadership in helping them just become better communicators, better coaches for their teams themselves, and ultimately building strong culture based in values. So a lot of people don't realize that values are actually incredibly important. Like, a lot of companies have them listed on their website and yada, 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 but they don't actually live them, breathe them, follow them. And values actually depict our behavior. So what you value will actually drive your individual behavior as a person. And so if you want to build a great, strong culture within a company, whether it's 2 people or, 200 people or whatever, the leadership have to hold certain values, and they must follow through, make decisions with those values, behave with those values. You can't expect a company to build a culture that follows the leadership if the leadership don't do what they say. If they're not congruent with their values and they're not congruent with their words, the wheels come off. It's just that simple.
I love it. And I've seen a lot of companies where, they did a workshop in the late 80s and they came up with the list of our 7 core values, and then nobody ever reads it again.
Mhm.
It's amazing how far off course they can be. So, when you're working with these leadership teams, what are some of the misconceptions you bump into right up front where life is easier for both of you if they understand these things?
Um, a lot of people think I'm a speaking coach. And yes, okay, I do work with speakers and presenters and people who are pitching, raising money and things like that. I even work with some authors, when they're going out on the road and they're developing their speech or their, talk that goes with their book. But I actually, back in 2016, I really wanted to debunk the myth that I was just a speaking coach. And I produced TEDx Mission Viejo in Mission Viejo, California, for 100 people. I had the most outrageous event. Like, it was extreme. I raised a lot of money. We had dancers open the event. We had a vendor hall with a baby grand piano, artwork on the walls, a big spread of food in the middle of the table. The guy was playing on the piano with the candles. I mean, it was outrageous. We had a stand-up comedian open and host the whole show. We had 14 speakers. We had artists all over the place doing artwork. We had our logo done in flowers as you walked into the venue. We had balloons like everywhere. There was a huge corridor of balloons as you walked into the venue and when you went to sign up. I had a band at the end. I had free restaurants give us dinner. Like, we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. My mentors from TED came to this event and they were like, Stephanie, this is outrageous. What are you doing? I was like, I have to show people that I'm not a speaking coach. I'm a producer. So when I look at a form of communication, I look at it from a holistic production, right? So most people create a message with their neocortex, where language and logic and reason is created, and our neocortex is only about 200,000 years old. But they forget that that message has to go through a reptilian brain and then through a limbic system, which is essentially your mammalian brain, before it even gets to language, logic, and reason. And those two brains do not have any capacity to understand language, logic, and reason. So we have to create those messages so that they hit home, they go through those two brains and they actually get up to logic and reason. And then it goes to make a decision that has to go back to the limbic system and say, how do you feel about that? So that's where we start the concept. And then we have to look at everything about any form of messaging. How does it look? How does it feel? How does it sound? Most people are terrified of public speaking. Or like communication or getting in front of people they don't know. To me, it's just like, I was terrified when I the first time I had to do a public speaking event was at a fashion show, and that they asked me to be the host of the show. I wrote out my entire speech and I printed it and put it on the chairs so that everyone could read it, so that they weren't watching me. That was my theory anyway. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to connection. How can you get your messages to land and connect emotionally with your audience and go through those brains and get up to logic and reason, basically?
I love that. And I think that's, why I resonated when I was reading your book. It's, I get really tired of people trying to, create clever copy and, find unique ways to make it about themselves. I'd love how, you find ways to engage the brain. I mean, if we're not engaging the right part of the brain, if we're going I know accountants in particular, they love to talk about facts and statistics, and you know, it's impossible to make a decision when you're stuck in that analytical part of the brain. So I love that. Now, when one of the things I like to ask my guests on the show is to share some quick wins. So, aside from, I know in your book you talk about going out and getting training and being a, a comedian. You learn neuroscience, and I love that journey. What are some quick wins that people listening to the show today can, what are some things they can do so that they're better positioned, and maybe getting themselves more prepared to work with you?
There's a few things. First of all, I find a lot of clients, and I'd probably say 70% of my clients, when I run their emotional intelligence assessment, could work on that. And emotional intelligence really helps us listen and understand our audience. It also helps us understand ourselves better. When we have a high EQ, we are more likely to be successful. And I think people don't pay enough attention to that because it can atrophy. I had a client, a CEO, take it, he took my assessments, and one of the EQ came back quite low. And he's like, I can't believe it's so low. And I said, why? Why do you think that? And he goes, well, I've done training in EQ. I said, when was that? He said, 20 years ago. And I was like, well, that's why your EQ is back down again, because you let it atrophy. You don't focus on those skills where you're listening and you're understanding self and others. So I think also becoming hyper aware of your inner critic and getting rid of negative chatter is incredibly important. I mentioned before, a lot of people are afraid of public speaking. That's all ego, right? That's all ego. If you were asked to talk to a group of children, that's not, necessarily a threatening situation. Most people would be like, yeah, sure, most of us will go to help a crying child. Are you okay? Oh my God, I'm so sorry, whatever that is. So it's like we all actually innately want to connect. So I think becoming hyper aware of your inner critic and getting rid of that negative chatter is incredibly important. And never give up on learning and supporting and surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you, stronger than you, more successful than you. Get mentors and coaches for the goals that you want to actually achieve, or join groups, like get support, because it does make a huge difference. I've got several accountability partners and a few coaches of my own, right? And I think if you want to reach a goal or change a habit, you have to do something towards that every day. Is that a quick win? I don't know. But I think even if it's just a small increment, I don't have a magic wand. I do not have pixie dust. I've talked about it in my book, and there's other stories that I tell, where if you really want to shift something, you have to do it multiple times. Like I talk about driving the car with my clients, and CAAR. C stands for, first you have to become curious. You have to become deeply curious about what it is, or the habit you want to change, or the goal that you want to make, or the thing that you want to learn. And then you have to become hyper aware about it, right? So that you can shift towards into the mindset and the daily practice, or the diligence that you need to do to understand that shift. And then sometimes and the second A stands for authenticity, or authentic behavior, because in order to get authentic behavior, you have to practice something that feels inauthentic, right? So if you want to become a good speaker, or good presenter, or good communicator, you have to be aware of what you're doing wrong, and then shift it into something that feels slightly, inauthentic and not quite you, and then practice that. And then eventually it's like riding a bike. You get your balance and you're off, right? And then the R in the driving the car acronym is real value. You have to place real value on the process, or nothing's going to shift. I've had clients who, I don't know, think that I'm somehow going to wave a magic wand and they're suddenly going to go from 0 to 1,000 and be this world-class, amazing speaker. And I fire them, because I'm like, you don't do the work. We're not going to go anywhere. And I don't want people running around there out saying like, oh, she's my coach. No, I'm not. Because you won't do the work. It's like, and I think it's fun work. And so I wrapping all that up, I think just becoming more vulnerable, being willing to share and be present and be seen by others. That's what we connect to, you know, become a better listener when people are speaking to you and communicating with you, I think is something really key. And focus on the present. When you're communicating with other people, you have to be here, you know, like listening to them in the present moment. And these cell phones, these smartphones, they do not help us at all. And I get really upset with young people when I see them out at restaurants, you know, in their 20s and 30s, and none of them are talking to each other. They're all sitting on their phones.
Yep.
And that scares the hell out of me as far as communication goes, because we are biological, organic creatures, and we need contact. We need communication. We need touch. You know, we need to laugh and smile with each other. And you know, unfortunately, depression is on the rise in young people because of these, you know, technological, I mean, oh, no, don't get me down that road. Now I'm going to sound like I'm on a, you know, soapbox, and I'm not. I just understand our biology a little bit better. So yeah.
You're allowed to be on a soapbox. And for what it's worth, my personal pet peeve is when I see families that are out for dinner and mom and dad and all the kids are on their phones. That's like, could we agree to put the phones down just for 20 minutes, whatever the time it is, and be there as a family? And yeah, I tend to take a lot of heat for that one, but
no,
I care more about my kids' day than I care about whatever's on social media at the moment. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. We always eat, the family at the table. We always eat at the table, you know, together. And it's the time when we discuss the day and like how things going and issues and problems and all that kind of stuff. And I love it. And just want to back up because you asked me for 3 quick wins. What can I give away to your audience? And I have a giveaway for your audience that I have specially put together. So if they go to my website and put in / I'm going to tell you in a second. So my website is stephaniepaulinc.com. So my name, stephaniepaulinc.com / powerful gift. You can get a downloadable, which is basically the 12 steps to present powerfully and with purpose and engage any audience. So it's got some of my tidbits from my book in it, but that's a nice free download gift to your audience. So it's one more time, stephaniepaulinc.com / powerful gift, all for you, just from me.
I love that. And I truly, truly appreciate that on behalf of my audience, because I think one of the things I tell them is you need to have a good presentation. I'm not the guy to tell them how to do it. I just tell them they should do it. So that'll be a great help. Now, and I will have that link in the show notes for everybody listening as well.
Awesome.
Now, one of my favorite questions, and I'll let you decide how you answer this, but I'd like to ask about an example of somebody that worked with you, what it was like to work together, and what their life is like afterwards. You had suggested earlier you'd like to read something from LinkedIn. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about one of my clients who wrote me a recommendation. I'm going to read what she wrote, and then I'm going to talk about our experience together. We're actually still working together. So she wrote, and she's a executive director, and she wrote, choosing to work with Stephanie as a woman in leadership coach is one of the best career decisions I have made. She inspires, challenges, motivates, listens, and has great tools to enable true understanding of strengths and opportunities for growth. She transformed the way I think about my value and my values, connected through story. And if you're looking for a leadership or career coach or need to tell your story in a dynamic and engaging way, Stephanie can help you get the amazing results that you want. The journey is yours. Stephanie is your master guide. Put in the work and you will flourish and succeed under her guidance. And I've worked with actually several women from this particular company who are now all with other companies and I've worked with the leadership team from that company as well. But they shifted gears. They got a new investor. The investor wanted them to focus in one very serious area, and they literally laid off 50% of their company. And at the time I started working with Karen, she was a little lost. You know, she said it was like going through a divorce, you know, because she had helped build that company from the ground up, and she felt like they just ripped her baby out of her hands, even though it wasn't her baby, but you know. Yeah. And I'm so proud of her for where she is today from where she was when she came to work with me. And she's now got multiple job offers on the table with big companies. She's been flown to Korea to help open a lab. She's been asked to consult. She's been put on boards. I mean, like, you know, she's just like flown through the glass ceiling, and she's flying. And I'm just super, super proud of her. So I think one thing that I do, and I have been told this by some of my clients, is that I open the door to all my resources. I give them whatever they need at the time that they're working with me. I'm very much a person that believes pay it forward. How can I help you? But I also have boundaries and protect my time and my energy as well, you know, because if I'm not 100% there for my clients, then, you know, that's no good. And it's no good me getting upset, giving everything away. But, you know, I find that's incredibly helpful, just to be there to listen and support and give them everything that I possibly can so that they can fly. I mean, I don't know if I can say, I get off on watching them succeed. You know, that's my golden moment. I have a really simple story that I was working with a team of 20 scientists. This is one of my favorite stories, because they were all like PhDs, doctorates, and, you know, all kinds of science stuff. And the reason why they hired me to come in and do this training was they all went out with the sales reps, and during the sales reps meetings, they would give 5 to 15-minute presentations on the science. They were essentially there to be the proof that the science worked. And I had them all at the end of the day. They came with like a 3-minute presentation. They had to have a few slides, and, you know, so we could get through everybody. And I had them all doing humorous material at the end of the day. They all had a joke somewhere in their presentation. They all had very powerful, you know, the presentations had shifted from these really stoic, like, you know, straight data fact driven presentations to something that was humorous and story driven and all that kind. And just watching each one of them get up there and get a laugh, you know, from their audience. And there was one particular girl who was very, very shy when she first arrived, and she got the biggest laugh of the day. And just watching her face go, oh my God, they're laughing at me, I made them laugh. Just seeing that joy and that light bulb moment go on, that's the reason why I do what I do, is to get people from, you know, where they are to where they really truly want to be, and show them that it's possible. Because people say to me all the time, you know, how can you make people laugh, you know, make people funny, to make people, and I was like, it's one of the easiest things to do in the world, because laughter is the most contagious behavior we have biologically, and all you have to do is believe that you can do it. And there's some really simple techniques to make people laugh using humor, and it doesn't have to be a joke or a stand-up, you know, comedy thing. And when people are willing to commit and believe and step into that arena, they actually realize it's quite simple. Those moments are awesome for me.
And by the way, I'm trying not to laugh, but I'm picturing a bunch of lab coats with their check, you know, their little boards, and thinking about all their facts that they're ready to deliver. And I can just imagine, you know, you saying, okay, put your clipboards down. We're going to start with laughter. I love it. Now, I want to be respectful of your time. What is the best way for people who are watching this? They realize, oh my God, I need Stephanie in my life. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, they can email me at help for the number 4 and the letter U. So it's help for you, the number 4 and the letter U, at stephaniepaulinc.com, or they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on, and a great way to check me out. I've got lots of recommendations and information and all that kind of jazz on LinkedIn, and it's just linkedin.com/Stephanie Paul Inc. Those are probably the 2 best ways. I also have a Facebook group called Executive Storytellers. If they want to look out for that and join us, I'd love to have you. So yeah, that's probably the best way.
Excellent. Now, you are the expert at you. So, is there anything I should have asked you that I haven't that you'd like to share with my audience?
Um, don't forget to go and download your PDF. Your powerful gift. It's stephanieportling.com/powerful gift. No, I just, I'm always open to a conversation. I'm always open to meeting new people. And even, I've had clients people who I've had, sales calls with or consultations with that are just like, I can't afford you. And I always give them something to help them. I always give them something free or a resource or hook them up with somebody that I know that can help them and might be in their price point. I don't know. So I'm all about paying it forward. So I'm not, so feel free to reach out and touch me because I'm totally happy to chat with people. And, if I'm having a super busy week, I'll make some time, even if it's just 15 minutes. So
Excellent. Well, Stephanie, I really truly appreciate, first of all, your sense of humor, but also your time and your insight. So, thank you for taking the time to hang out with me and my audience today.
cool. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.